It's Randy Orton. Oh.
I have voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me.
Alright guys, what is up? Mr. Beatler here, and today I'm going to be doing a video basically on my thoughts on Roman Reigns, because I feel like I'm one of those people who's kind of kept quiet on what my thoughts are on Reigns. So I thought I would just kind of do a video here kind of saying what I think, really. So let's get started. So first off, I don't hate Roman Reigns. Like, I'm not one of those people that hates Reigns and, like, you know, thinks that, you know, the guy doesn't deserve to be in the main event scene. I know that sounds crazy, but just hear me out. Like, I think the guy's got talent. I think you can't deny that. Like, the guy's had, you know, really improved over the year of 2015. You know, arguably the most improved, you know, wrestler of the year. You know, he's had some great matches this year. You can't deny that. Like, you know, the matches with Wyatt, Hell in a Cell, Lesnar. He even pulled off a good match with Big Show at Extreme Rules, in my opinion. He's had some pretty good matches, in my opinion, this year, Reigns. So I definitely think when people say he's not good in the ring, I think that's just bullshit. Like, people say that with Cena as well, and, you know, he gets carried to a good match. But I like to think of, you know, the old saying, it takes two to tango. And, yeah, I think Reigns is fine in the ring. I think I wouldn't change anything about it. I like the moves that he does as well. Like, I think the Superman punch is a very good move. It's a signature move that can get over, in my opinion. And the spear he hits is very good. Like, it's one of the better spears that I've seen people do over the years. So when it comes to an in-ring standpoint, I have no complaints with Roman Reigns. I do see where people are coming from with the character. Like, honestly, I think there's a lot that needs to be worked on. There's a lack of consistency there, in my opinion. Like, I think the problem is WWE are trying to focus too much on Reigns as an not in-ring, as someone who should cut promos and have these certain phrases that he uses in his promos. Like, he calls people son quite a lot. Like, someone pointed this out to me, and I didn't realise it, but like, he does call people that. He does call people that a lot, which I've noticed. And he's not someone who's you know, that gifted on the mic. He's not terrible, in my opinion. I think what the problem is he's been a victim of just awful script writing. Like, we saw this at the beginning of the year, when he talked about the succotash or whatever, and Roman and the Beanstalk, and that was just dreadful. But I think what they need to do with Reigns is less on the sort of less on the kind of microphone skills, and just try and develop his character a bit more, because I still think there's that lack of character, in my opinion. Like, I think what I would like to see Roman Reigns as, personally, is that kind of guy who you know, he takes no shit from anyone. You know, he's you know, the only people he really cares about are himself and his family and friends. Like, he doesn't care, you know, who he has to go through to get to the top, and he does everything for himself and his family and friends and that sort of thing. And we kind of saw this when he broke off by himself after the Shield. Like, I remember the Fatal 4-Way, a Battleground, was like him, Kane, Orton, and Cena. He was saying how, like, you know, he didn't care who he was going to have to go through, whether he'd go through, you know, Orton, Kane, or Cena. He didn't care, and which is, I think, it's quite good, because usually nowadays you see a lot of baby faces just kind of being by default, just being friends with all the baby faces. But I would maybe like to see Reigns be more of a kind of, not a lone wolf per se. Like, I still think he should be friends with Ambrose and the Usos, that sort of thing. But I think that you need to have, like, you know, him be more by himself and more kind of, he fights for himself, and he doesn't. And I think they need to have him more kind of, you know, actions speak louder than words. Like, he just goes in there, he beats the shit out of people. You know, he'll cut, like, if you do want him to cut promos, make him cut short promos that get to the point. Don't have these kind of promos where he has to go and say shit that just really doesn't suit his character. Like, I feel like sometimes they're trying to make him into a John Cena character. Like, sometimes you'll see him come out with, like, a smile on his face, and I just don't really like that idea. I think if you're going to portray him as that kind of badass character, you need to have him, serious, intense, comes down to the ring. I like the crowd entrance personally. I think it's unique. It's something that stands out. I know some people disagree, but I think it stands out in my opinion. And I just think it'd be better if he came in, more kind of intensely. He does this quite often, but then there are times sometimes where he'll come down to the ring like smiling and I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, this just doesn't fit your character. Like, for example, the day after Survivor Series on Raw, like, he came when he entered to interrupt Sheamus, like, he had a smile on his face, and it was just stupid because, the day before, he'd lost the title after holding it for like 5 minutes or whatever, and he was crying in the ring, and, they're starting to develop kind of, some sympathy for him. And then he just comes on the next day smiling as if nothing happened. The lack of continuity there kind of annoyed me a bit though. But I think another problem with Reigns is that his kind of rise to the top didn't really seem that believable in my opinion. Like, let's put it this way. So after the Shield broke up, he was put into that kind of main event scene. After the Shield broke up, and he was challenging for the title, like he challenged for Money in the Bank in that ladder match and at Battleground, and then he entered a feud with Orton, and he beat Orton, and then he obviously got injured in that feud with Rollins. But I think that's a really, that was a kind of a key moment for him, that he really could have established himself as a main eventer, with that feud with Rollins, and who knows, maybe he would have done something going in Survivor Series, maybe he would have played a role in that Authority storyline as well. And he came back at TLC and started a feud with the Big Show. Like, I think that was the stupidest thing they could have done. Like, Big Show's the kind of guy who, if you're not going to establish a main event by having him win a feud with the Big Show. Like, I just thought that was ridiculous and was just idiotic. But I think if he hadn't have been injured, maybe that rise to the top would have seemed more organic, more realistic. However, because he had the injury and he came back at TLC and said he was going to win the Rumble and won the Rumble, it just felt a bit, unrealistic, and, it's hard to kind of get behind him. And also the build-up to WrestleMania 31 really didn't help as well. They did the whole pull the belt thing as well with Lesnar. That was just really anticlimactic. It really wasn't well. The main event with him and Lesnar wasn't that hyped, in my opinion, either. But I think they really did kind of slow down with him after WrestleMania. They've kind of not halted the push, but they decided to go more in a less towards a title picture and more just sort of feuding with other people, like the feud with Wyatt, for example, which was okay. Like, I think their match Hell in a Cell was great, but like, I don't know, there was something missing. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there was just something missing from that feud, in my opinion. And it's just a shame, because I think this feud with Sheamus as well is just not helping him. Like, I think no one takes Sheamus seriously as a champion. It's just a real shame. And I really just think they should have tried him out as a heel at Survivor Series. Whether he joined the Authority or not. He didn't necessarily have to join the Authority to be a heel, in my opinion. Like, I would have liked to have seen him maybe start a heel faction, maybe like the Usos or something. I don't know. Like, I remember I've heard people like bring this up, like him and the Usos starting a heel faction. Like, and I would be up to the idea. It's something different. It's something a bit risky. But instead they just played the safe option and just took a mid-card and put the world title on him, and you've still got Reigns as a face, and it's just not really working out, in my opinion. But I guess to kind of conclude, I don't hate Roman Reigns. I do like him. I think there's potential there, but he's just a victim of shit WWE management and booking, really. But well, not booking, but just management, really. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. They'll in the description there'll be links to my second channel, Twitter, and Ask.fm if you haven't checked them out already. So thanks for watching, guys.